All right, so I have an absolutely massive bombshell report here for you guys as an update on the Julian Assange situation. So if you haven't been watching my channel, or if you just don't know who Julian Assange is, here's just a very reductive recap of who he is. So he was a founder of WikiLeaks, and basically Chelsea Manning, who was an intelligence officer within the U.S. military, leaked documents to him that were exposing U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and Iraq, and Julian Assange took these documents and he released them to the public, as any good journalist would do. So he's a hero in my mind. He's doing the work that an actual journalist would do. And there has been ridiculous backlash over the last years from both the U.S. and the United Kingdom governments, where they are basically just holding him as a political prisoner. He has been subjected to basically torture-like conditions, and the United States is currently trying to extradite him so that they can lock him up forever in a U.S. prison. And the last update that I did for you guys on this situation was a UK judge actually ruled that not that Julian Assange could not be extradited to the United States along the substance of the charges they are trying to bring against him, but the judge in the UK actually ruled that U.S. prisons and our prison system are so horrific and barbaric that it would not be okay to have him extradited to the United States because they could not guarantee his safety as a prisoner. So that just shows you where the United States prison system is right now. But it also shows you that the United States, alongside the United Kingdom, are holding this man as basically a prisoner of the empires because they don't like the fact that he exposed the crimes of the empires, and they want to shut down this type of journalism. And so here's the update that I have for you guys. So as Edward Snowden here, which if there was ever going to be a trusted source on this issue, it would be Edward Snowden. He thinks this is the end of the case against Julian Assange. So here are basically the details. Key witnesses in Assange case admits to lies in indictment. So you have this guy who is actually in Iceland, and a large portion of the substance of the charges that were brought against Julian Assange were based on this guy's testimony, or based on this guy's lies that have now been exposed. And so here's some of the details. They say, a major witness in the United States Department of Justice case against Julian Assange has admitted to fabricating key accusations in the indictment against the WikiLeaks founder. The witness, who has a documented history with sociopathy and has received several convictions for sexual abuse of minors and wide-ranging financial fraud, made the admission in a newly published interview with Stundin, where he also confessed to having continued his crime spree whilst working with the Department of Justice and FBI and receiving a promise of immunity from prosecution. So this guy's a criminal, okay, a convicted criminal. And the United States Department of Justice was working alongside him and basically trying to get him to flip on Julian Assange, or to basically fabricate and create a case against Julian Assange, and that looks to be exactly what he did. So if there was ever going to be a non-trustworthy source, it seems like it would be this guy. And by the way, this outlet Stundin right here, the reason why I'm not reading this from Politico or Axios or any of the other New York Times or any of these other press outlets, is because those press outlets don't give a shit about press freedom. Okay, they're perfectly willing to let Julian Assange sit in prison for the rest of his life, as long as it means protecting their establishments and protecting the status quo as they see it. So the reason why this is in Stundin, an Icelandic publication, is because I haven't fucking seen any U.S. outlets, mainstream outlets, reporting on this. Okay, they don't want to touch it. So that's why this is in Stundin. But they continue on. The man in question, and this is the most Icelandic name in the history of names, Sigurdur Ingi Thordarson, was recruited by U.S. authorities to build a case against Assange after misleading them to believe that he was previously a close associate of his. In fact, he had volunteered on a limited basis to raise money for WikiLeaks in 2010, but was found to have used that opportunity to embezzle more than $50,000 from the organization. Julian Assange was visiting Thordarson's home country of Iceland around this time due to his work to work with Icelandic media and members of parliament in preparing for Icelandic Modern Media Initiative, a press freedom project that produced a parliamentary resolution supporting whistleblowers and investigative journalism. The irony there is absolutely mind-blowing. But the United States is currently seeking Assange's extradition from the United Kingdom in order to try him for espionage relating to the release of leaked classified documents, and if convicted, he could face up to 175 years in prison. And the indictment has sparked fears of press freedoms in the United States and beyond, and prompted strong statements in support of Assange from Amnesty International, Reporters Without Borders, the editorial staff of the Washington Post, and many others. And U.S. officials presented an updated version of an indictment against him to a magistrate court in London last summer, and the veracity of the information contained in them therein is now directly contradicted by the main witness, whose the testimony is based on. So listen, just to summarize that, this was always a trumped up charge. This was always a fabricated attack against Julian Assange and an attack on the free press. There was never any legitimate charges to be brought to imprison or extradite Julian Assange. It never existed, okay? And this is clear from this now retracted testimony, or testimony that is now contradicted by the main fucking witness in this entire case. So this is completely ridiculous, but we knew this from the beginning, okay? The reason why the United States government, the reason why the United States military apparatus alongside the United Kingdom don't want Julian Assange to be free is because they don't want to set the precedent that what he did is okay. And what he did is not only okay, but it's something that every journalist should be encouraged to do. That is the epitome of what journalism actually is. You're supposed to have in a legitimately free press, or in a society that has a free press, your job is to be a check on the powerful. Your job is to hold the most powerful people and institutions accountable. That's your whole job as a journalist in a free press society. But unfortunately, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, I can only speak to the United States, at least as an American, but we don't have a free press. We don't have anything close to a free press. And I say this all the time. When you have a system where corporations control the state, then corporate media is indistinguishable from state media. So CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're all corporations. And so their agenda, what they cover, what they choose not to cover, how they frame issues, who they bring on as guests on their show, it's all based on their bottom line. And under a capitalist system with a capitalist government, as you could say, their issues, their priorities are perfectly aligned. Okay, so corporate media is state media when corporations control the state. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're not doing the same type of journalism that this would entail, okay? And so that's why they're not backing up Julian Assange. That's why they're not coming out and fervently supporting him. But this is why it's also important to make sure that whistleblowers like him or press outlets that report the findings of whistleblowers are protected in this way. That's what it means to have a free press. If you don't have a free press, then all you have is state media, corporate media that is towing the line of the establishment. So free Julian Assange. This is just adding on to the evidence that we should have already done that a long time ago. Their case that they have against him is completely fabricated. It's based on nonsense, and that's obviously clear now.